What's up, Internet? Welcome to the Act 9 video of our totem leveling series, and as I've said on all the previous videos, if this happens to be the first one of this video series you're stumbling upon, this is definitely not a video series for the moderately experienced Path of Exile player, and definitely not a veteran. This is more for newer players. It's almost like a let's play. I'm just doing a unedited and full playthrough of the campaign using the setup for my Freezing Pulse Totems build, which is actually leveling as Holy Flame Totem. So I'm going to be doing a lot of like explaining stuff that maybe I wouldn't normally explain at League Start, or I'm doing all the side quests and things like that. So if you're looking to learn how to go faster, this is not the right place for you. But if you're just looking to learn how to level in general, you might want to watch. Now, where we left off, we had plenty of gear. We did want to get an increased duration gem, and let's do that before we forget. Now, increased duration, I might as well get it from Act 3, because Act 3, I think I would have unlocked it naturally in Act 3, and so it will be leveled. Yeah, increased duration level 11. So we can drop that. We're going to add that to our curse for a 4-link. It's going to make the mana cost a lot higher, but it's actually good for us at this point, because we just want to be able to level our Arcane Surge even further and get more value out of it. The other thing we wanted to do was, let's chuck a transmute on this. So this is remove shock. We've only got one alteration. That alteration literally did nothing. This has 10 out of 35. 1200 over 6. This probably still heals faster anyway. Let's go ahead and chuck a Beastcraft on that then. Because we want to get a replacement for our bleed removal flask. Our life flask is getting old. So we can do that on this guy. And we'll click staunching. And I want to make sure that there are no... I mean, level 53 is probably fine. We're technically on my standard account right now, even though I'm not using any of my currency from it. So I want to make sure that I don't put a level 83 monster in there and instantly die. So this, remove shock. Might as well put that here. And we'll go on. Definitely don't need to carry around these anymore. Don't need that or that. And we'll just carry our currency with us. Alright. Onward we go into Act 9. I think 9 is a little bit shorter of an act than Act 7 and 8. Unlike the Act 4, we don't go into the Dried Lake or anything. We immediately go up here into the Descent, which is, strangely enough, an icy area that for some reason turns into a desert. I don't know why it's so cold up here, if it's a desert at the base of this mountain, but, you know, video games. Because we're really not that high up. For this set of zones in this descent, you're pretty much always going to the east. Hit 61. For the most part, like usual, we can just sit here. We don't even need to drop our other totems or anything. Just the occasional Holy Flame Totem. And now that we have increased duration, our Arcane Surge lasts a little bit longer. We don't need to recast it quite so often. Although it's good to just get into the habit, because Flammability is an extremely fast casting spell. And we're going to get even more cast speed later on. So just having that habit of like refreshing your Arcane Surge with your curse is just a good one to have. A lot of people do like putting their Arcane Surge, like a rank 1, on their Flame Dash. I personally, I think I don't Flame Dash enough for that to be like something that feels right. And I don't like having the Flame Dash to trigger it in the case like boss fights and stuff. I don't want to have to move necessarily to get my buff back. But it's something you can do if you just want to, if you're focusing more on mapping, it'll kind of help automate your Arcane Surge a little more. something you don't really have to think about. I'm going to pick up these divine flasks just because I wouldn't mind having a slightly more ideal bleed flask. And there's our waypoint. The waypoint's roughly in the middle of this zone. The Stormblade is usually... It's hard to know exactly. It's usually not far from the waypoint, but I'm not sure if there's a set place for it relative to the waypoint. Like, it looks like this time it's either going to be northwest or northeast of the waypoint, but I usually kind of just do circles out from the waypoint until I find the exclamation mark for the... We're looking for the Stormblade here. And I feel like if we go too far east, we're going to find the entrance to... Yeah, we're going to find the entrance to that, which we can't get through right now. I suppose it's possible it's down here to the south. Like maybe they put it over here. Oh, they did put it in the south. Fair enough. So once you click this thing, a bunch of enemies spawn in a circle around you. You can usually put, like, since you have 3 Holy Flame Totems right now, and then 2 Wave of Conviction Totems, you kind of put them in the corners, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And that should get everything. Sometimes you gotta pick off a golem here. So once you have this, I usually actually just go back up to the sandstorm area here. I'll grab this portal because I'm about to use one. So right here. So when you take this back, you can turn this in at Pataris. Obviously, we're going to take the wand here since we're using wands. But you talk to Sin, and then go back and talk to them. And they'll give you the Bottled Storm. You have to complete that sword mission first. Boy, that's bad. Destroy that. And we'll take our portal back. Now this side of the zone here is optional. There's like a hideout up here, and there is a Pantheon boss up here. So you don't have to come up here, but at some point you should remember to come back so that you can kill the Pantheon guy and get the skill point for that quest. And like usual, if you're not following a road, you're probably following a wall. So I usually just follow the edge of the zone here. That'll take you to the hideout and the boss at some point. This looks like the hideout. No, this is the boss actually, the sand pit. Good. There's technically 2 phases of this fight. This first part is like trivial. Once she hits like, 75% or something, you have to walk this. This is a really annoying mechanic in my opinion. You have to walk this whole thing, and you have to let her shoot once from every one of these sand pits for some reason. The game won't just like have the scorpion follow you if you want to go faster. So you just kind of have to go at walking speed. The little quicksand pits will put a stacking debuff on you that make you slower, but there's no like real threat here. It's just obnoxiously slow as you wait for her to jump from sand pit to sand pit. It'd really be nice if you could just run to the end of this thing and open it. But once she gets here, we get to the second phase of the fight, where she's going to do a lot of jumping out of the ground obnoxiously. That hit me really far away actually. But this is why we have things like mind over matter and regen, right? We don't really care. She's hitting us right now. Unfortunately, when she gets to this phase, usually you can't kill her in the campaign before she does this. And she's going to sit in the middle and just shoot at you while being invulnerable. So all you can do really is just run around and wait for her to come out of the ground. There we go. So take that belt. Any good? No. Okay. Freeze and chill. Remove shock. I'd rather remove shock. So, we get our second to last minor. I actually can't even see. I think it's Shikari that unlocks on that one. Shikari is a little bit useful for Cirrus. It used to be a lot better for Cirrus actually, but it's still a little bit useful for the 5% reduced chaos damage taken. But it used to be the 25% reduced chaos damage over time. Didn't have the caustic ground condition, so it was really good for reducing damage taken from Cirrus storms. No longer, but it's okay. We can still get a skill point from Irasha for killing that. We're gonna go ahead and head towards the life here, I think. And now we're gonna go back to the desert, and we're gonna head northwest. So I don't know if it would be along this wall or over here, but we'll check up here first. It's okay, it's up here. So this will take us to the foothills, which again splits off into two different directions. So we're gonna find the waypoint here first. Apparently we got a delirium. Go ahead and hit that. Now if we follow this wall, we're actually going to come to the entrance to the oasis first. And we don't want to enter the oasis until we get the waypoint. So we'll find the waypoint here. I'm actually just going to turn the delirium off then, because we wanted the waypoint. A couple jewels I don't need. So the Boiling Lake, this is a side area for the Basilisk Acid, which is part of the main quest. So if you follow this wall along the water side, this will take you where you need to go. And when you find these statues, it means you're close, right? The Basilisk has turned all these people to stone. And then you're just looking for, there it is. And the gimmick to this boss is that when it does that, it's got its eyes red. You can kind of not tell right now, but if you stand in front of it, it'll stack a debuff on you that if it hits like 5 or something, it turns you to stone too for a little while. Pretty easy to get killed. And then once it's dead, for some reason, everybody is no longer turned to stone. Unfortunately, you were there to kill him, so that's not fun. But we did get the Basilisk Acid, which you can, like Diala, you can give this to him now just to get it out of your inventory. But then we want to go back to the foothills. And now we're going to head west. There's two things still left to do here, though. We can find the Calendar of Fortune, and this is for respec points. So this is something you can skip if you don't need the respec points later. But again, I like to do them because we're probably going to need them anyway when we switch to Freezing Pulse Totems if we haven't already. And usually... he's not going to be here. It's hard to say exactly. He's in one of these like little circle pens. I found him in multiple different places in the zone, so I'm not exactly sure if there's a guaranteed spot or like a guaranteed rotation of spots. But if you just run around and find these little... Here he is. He destroys his. There's our Calendar of Fortune. And now we can continue just going west. So, now that we have found this place, you'll notice that the book icon shows up really early here. The second to last trial is really close to the entrance. It's one of the easier trials too, thankfully, because it's just full of like slow-moving buzzsaws. And because we have Mind Over Matter and because we have Flame Dash, we don't really care about much of any of this stuff. Right? Just keep your totems down because they will be granting you bonus life regen. Otherwise, you can just kind of Flame Dash through this stuff. It kind of wraps around from the entrance. That's it. It's a pretty strange trial. Don't forget to grab the crafting recipe right here. Click the portal. And then head back the way we came. Head the other way. Mostly we're going like northwest here. Again, the general trend of like heading in the opposite direction of the way you came in. Get rid of that volatile. And there's our waypoint. Not too much further ahead here. We'll find the quarry. So there's actually like 3 things we need to do here in the quarry. In the center of the quarry is our waypoint in Sin. He's waiting for us. Because he needs the Trathan powder or whatever, Trathan, to open the way into the beast again. So grab the recipe, which is always right by the waypoint right here. And then if you think about the shape of this zone, it's like a big rectangle, right? And the waypoint is roughly in the center of it. So you don't necessarily know which side is going to be which for these 2 missions. I usually just start like on the southwest here. And we're looking for a door, which you'll see on the waypoint, you know, or on the minimap pretty early. Just follow the wall here. And there's our first door. This looks like it's going to go into the, Shrine of the Wind. So this is the optional quest for the very final Pantheon, if I'm remembering correctly. I think I had my, did I have that turned off? Oh boy. I promise I've played this game before. Anyway, the only thing you really need to do with this is stay out of the tornadoes. She turns in like a stealth like that, and she won't unstealth until she gets the opportunity to swing at you. So you don't really need to move around too much until she turns visible again. Otherwise, just stay out of the tornadoes. And don't move. So once she's visible, then you can start moving again. But then she turned invisible, so you have to wait for her to swing. There she is. And now she's dead. And we do want this. This is worth another skill point. Cold spells. It's unfortunate. And there is our last Pantheon, which we'll never use. But, again, like I said, skill point. Now you can just portal back to town right there if you want. But I usually just run across the zone. Since I know that that was on the south side, the factory, or whatever the hell it's called, I think it's the factory, is going to be on this side. The refinery. And now there's 2, the way the refinery is laid out, if you've done the map, the factory map, you can go either direction here. Typically, heading to the northwest instead of the southeast will put you to the boss faster. The zone is kind of like a big, funny shaped loop. So we're kind of trying to go northeast right now. The boss is sort of in the northern corner of the map, I would say. Right where the map is going to turn back on itself and go around. So right now we're trying to go northeast. And this is this the boss here? No. I think we still need to go a little bit further northeast here. I think this is the boss right here. Yeah, this sort of funny looking door, and we can see the exclamation mark from here. This guy The only thing you want to be careful of with this guy is that when he powers up, he's going to put some electricity beams around the edges here. Like that. And you want to try and stand between those. They do snare you. But like I said, you know, we have so much damage at this point in the campaign for this build. You know, you don't have a lot to worry about. And you don't need to do the rest of the zone. Because like I said, this is going to loop all the way back to where you came in. So you can go ahead and portal here. And we can get some quest turn-ins done, right? We haven't been to town in a while. So now with the feather from the Pantheon boss we killed, you can either give it to Arasha or you can give it to Tsuni. It doesn't matter which one you give it to. You get a skill point for either one. But Tsuni is kind of a dork. So we're not going to give it to Tsuni. But we'll get our skill point. We can deliver the calendar of fortune to them to get respec points. And then we have the Charthan powder, which you can give to Sin and get it out of our inventory. Now at this point, skill point wise, my mana is probably... Let's go to into the map and see what our mana is right now. Basically, whoever you give that feather to is supposed to be the leader of this town. And Tsuni doesn't deserve to be the leader of anything, so don't give it to him. Yeah, I'm at 1274 and 1300, so we should probably get some more mana. For now. I'd like to get more mana from gear, but at the moment, I don't want to really worry about it. So I'm going to go ahead and come up here and get Deep Thoughts. I have plenty of mana if I remove my clarity, probably. But I feel like clarity is still pretty good for us, even with Arcane Surge. But pretty soon I'm going to take clarity off. We just won't need it anymore. Until then, we'll go ahead and take one more mana node. Like, a lot of people would be scared to take that many mana nodes. They'd be like concerned about having spent so many. But as you can see, like, we're not really going to have any issues with damage. And that trend is only going to continue because we're going to get so much early scaling damage in this build. We have a bunch of it in the campaign, and then when we do switch into Freezing Pulse totems, you're going to get a bunch of scaling from things like self-flagellation. So don't worry too much about like over-investing into mana unless you go like way more than I recommend in the guide. Like, having the campaign be easy is much more important than your DPS, you know, supposedly being higher, but you're struggling with balancing your mind over matter or something. This zone, by the way, is really just obnoxious. It's really linear, and there's a couple of like turns every so often, and then they just end in a dead end sometimes. You're still like, I'm probably going the wrong way right now. You're still generally keeping to the theme of going in away from the, you know, the entrance. So this is probably the direction we need to be going. Like north-northeast. And we're just about done with this act, actually. We have the boss fight. Oh, it looks like that was the way. See, this zone is just kind of obnoxious. Probably going down here and then north then, huh? Okay. I still feel like we need to be going more north. But the game continuously tries to make me a liar. I'm gonna go ahead and take that other node for mana. It's like I like that level of mana a little bit more. So now we can go ahead and put the rest of our points into damage from here. And we were technically still getting damage out of Prodigal Perfection anyway by increasing mana, so it's not like the worst thing. Thankfully, the second floor of this place is a lot shorter. This is technically where we fought Malachi the first time. here in the black core is what it's called now. And this is still sealed up, and this, as you can see, this is like where the old hearts were in the Malachi fight. So he says he thinks something is funny, and it turns out it is. This is still where the souls of those three annoying jerks have been hiding. So Chevron, Malagaro, and Doedre yet again, but the boss fights are all yet again different. And in each one of these portals, you have like a little sub-zone you have to clear. This one has a lot of, they're basically totems that apply curses, right? Now, because our Holy Flame Totem removes curses, this is not a particularly threatening zone. As long as you're standing, you know, within your totem, a curse can't affect you. And you're going to be putting down your totems as you go anyway. If you're already playing Freezing Pulse totems by this point, you're even more immune. You know, curses don't do anything to you at all. So you would just zoom through here. And at the end of this hallway is Doedre. You can put a portal here. Doedre is kind of in a weird fight, right? There are there's 3 stones she's going to summon here. And you can destroy those stones. But if you do, you won't have any place to hide behind when she does this room-wide scream thing. Which she's about to do here, right? She's doing it right here. So you have to hide behind a rock. But if you aren't careful with your totem placement, you know, you'll destroy these things. So be mindful of that. You probably won't have the damage to kill her before she does that scream. But now that she's dead, we can go on to one of the other 2. Malagaro's gimmick in this zone is that little chaos tornadoes spawn like that on top of you. It doesn't matter. It's just full of spiders. You can just run through this whole zone. If you notice, I keep like accidentally turning off my whatever ore is on R, because once I switch, I typically have Sniper's Mark on R. And some muscle memory is hard to break. I feel like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like the game was losing our position a little bit. Malagaro is probably the most similar to the way he was in the second encounter. Once he hits this level of health, he's going to split, literally, into a bunch of different Malagaros. But none of them, they have no health. So they're all just going to die instantly. And then when the real him comes back, he'll be dead in a couple seconds. And then we go to Chevron's. Chevron's is kind of like Malagaros, but there's little lightning tornadoes. And apparently there's a June mission in here. So there's a betrayal thing. I'm just going to let him go. Sure, bargain. I had no idea they could spawn here. I seems to be using my standard betrayal board too. Maybe that's why. I don't think I've ever seen them here. And Chevron. Chevron has like a little ghostly version of Brutus that spawns sometimes. Like that. She can also spawn that large sphere thing, but again, she just isn't going to have enough life to compete with you. Life mana and lightning res. This has chaos res though, and I'm pretty fond of that. So we talked to Sin after they're dead, and he's going to open the way to this middle. And the middle is basically, we'll pop a portal here just in case, is like a big disgusting version of all 3 of them put together. It's gross. Watch out for the AoE attacks mostly. And it'll run off sometimes and summon some scorpions. Scorpions actually do a fair amount of damage, so be careful. And then wait for her to come back. When she starts summoning that red thing, it's going to shoot out towards the wall in the way that she was facing. So don't be in front of that, and it's going to stay there for a little while. But it's not really taking up any of the arena, so I'm not sure why they made it stay. And then she's going to summon one more, and she's going to run out of life. And then, oh no, you're dead. But not really. Apparently the whole beast explodes. And this time seems to be pretty dead. And it's pretty gross. I'm pretty sure we got pooped out, honestly. Anyway, we talk to Lily, and we head to Oriath for the 10th and final act of the story. I don't think we're going to be doing a lot of more gear upgrades. We have pretty much all the gems we could want. We could technically turn this into a 3-link, maybe. Turn it into a red socket and put increased duration on it. Maybe I'll do that before I forget. See if we can link this guy and turn it into a blue-blue-red. Okay. So, ignore these guys for a minute. We'll go back to Act 3. This is who sells the leveled version of increased duration for the Hierophant. There we go. So now our flame wall lasts longer. Alright. So yeah. If you like this video, if you found it useful, be sure to hit all the YouTube buttons for liking and subscribing and all that. YouTube loves those. And I'll catch you in the 10th and final video. Peace.